What's going on, everyone? So, it is official. Happy Death Day 3 is coming to a screen near you. Both Jessica Rothe as well as Christopher Landon both confirmed the news that they are going to be working on a Happy Death Day Part 3. Now, for those that aren't familiar with the franchise, in a nutshell, it is essentially, a Groundhog Day meets slasher. Right? You have Jessica Roth's character who basically keeps reliving the same day over and over and over again while being killed in an array of ways by a serial killer who now she has to do this and solve this whodunit mystery. She has to figure out who is behind the mask. And every time she dies, she wakes back up, starts the day again, and it's kind of like, a Freaky Friday meets slasher, or like, almost like Back to the Future type they meet slasher. So you have these different kind of just plays, comedic versus, horror, which I actually think the franchise is one of the better ones at kind of melting the two together, right? I see a lot of kind of don't have that balance, right? Think of all like the horror comedies and stuff where, they're kind of one side or the other. I think that this is one that has had success at kind of putting the two together. So much so, we're getting a third installment, right? Like usually they're only doing sequels, especially into the third, if the other two had success and, has a audience and fan base that's interested in it. So I am excited for the third installment. I am excited to kind of see how this is going to play out. Now, we don't know exactly, like what the details are, how this is going to approach, how are they going to go about it. They are in the process of starting to put everything together, a script, a story, right? Like we are in the just essentially announcement phase. We are in the hey, here is what we're going to do, but we don't have any key details yet. So if you're somebody that's excited for this franchise, you're going to have to be patient because it's probably going to be a year or two before we actually get this third installment, which is fine, right? But the good thing is you're going to get Jessica Rothe back, Tree, who is going to reprise her role. I'm curious to see how kind of the antics and stuff, and how much do they kind of lean into the previous two films, right? The question is, can you keep doing the same sort of style over and over and over again, right? Without kind of losing some of your audience, right? Like how are you going, which again, to be fair with Happy Death Day 2, they did have some changes. They did have some things, right? Like, they had their own little twists and turns and stuff. And, so, how are they going to approach this third film in a way that it doesn't kind of we kind of get it and becomes repetitive. Also, there have been a lot of kind of slasher films that have followed suit to Happy Death Day with the Back to the Future. You had Time Cut, and there was another recent one that came out on Netflix, right? Where, it was they even promoted it as the early 2000s and stuff like that, right? So you have more and more of this sort of, travel back into the past, Groundhog Day, relive the same day, Freaky Friday style, Back to the Future meets slasher style film. You have a lot of that at this point, right? Like when Happy Death Day was doing its thing, it was one of the few, it wasn't the only one ever. There have been other horror films. I'm a big Supernatural guy, right? And there's a Supernatural episode, Tuesday, Pig in a Poke, right? Where, Dean keeps dying over and over and over again. And Sam every time Dean dies, Sam wakes up to relive the day. And, I don't want to ruin the episode for people, but for those that may not have seen it, which, it's been by the time that season came out, that was 20 years ago. That was season 2. So, that was a long time ago, right? Probably even more than that. But point is there have been shows and films and things like that have done the concept of reliving the same day over and over again in a horror-esque concept. But Happy Death Day kind of was a fun sort of creative way to approach it, kind of go about it a different manner that kind of, again, gave you a nice blend of the comedic relief with the slasher and the horror that you want from a slasher film and the whodunit mystery, right? It was kind of like this Scream meets, Back to the Future or Groundhog Day. And that's, I mean, even how it was kind of marketed and advertised. And Christopher Landon, being at the helm, I like him as a director. He was actually supposed to do Scream 7. And unfortunately that didn't work out. But Kevin Williamson is at the helm for Scream 7, which is beautiful, right? I mean, he's the guy that created it, right? So I'm really excited to see Kevin Williamson director, right? Because he's been a part of pretty much all of them other than, Scream 5, he was like a consultant on or whatever, but still, like, this is the first time in the director chair for him, so I'm excited to see how that goes. But I also, when Christopher Landon was brought on for Scream 7, I was actually really excited to kind of see his take on a Scream. And one of the things that, we talked about and discussed was like, with him doing things like Happy Death Day 2 and time cutting these things, like, is he going to be able to kind of have this creativeness and, is he going to lean more into the comedic side of things, right? Because his horror films, his sort of slasher films are kind of more, comedic leaning at times, right? Where Scream, the more recent regime of Scream has been much more dark, much more brutal, Ghostface, kind of no nonsense, just like running through folks type thing. So it was kind of like interesting to see kind of how would that balanced out. Now, how would Christopher Landon handle that? Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that maybe one day later on down the road. But, now that we get a new Happy Death Day, we'll get to kind of see him at the helm once again and kind of create continue this franchise in a direction, hopefully in a way to kind of continue to keep audiences entertained, keep audiences excited, to where the franchise kind of keep going. Because, the Happy Death Day 3 has been rumored for years, and it's just kind of been in this like purgatory state. But now it appears that, hey, nope, it's greenlit. We're doing this. It's happening. Let's go. And so, again, I hope that they're able to get this out. Because, you see, again, this is the beginning stages, right? A lot can change. A lot can happen. So hopefully they're able to kind of still keep the ball moving on this film and able to successfully produce this third installment. And, again, hopefully it has some success and it's a good film. As long as it is a good movie and it does what it's supposed to do, I imagine it'll have its success. But we'll see. Time will tell. Like I said, if you're a fan of the franchise, gotta be patient because it's going to be, like I said, probably a year or two before we actually see the release of this film. But nonetheless, I'm very excited. As always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? I feel, what are your thoughts? Are you excited for Happy Death Day 3? Do you think, like, no, they should have left it at 2? They should have left it at 1? Are you excited to see Jessica Rothe come back and reprise her role as Tree? Are you excited to see Christopher Landon back at the helm as the director? How do you think this film is going to have its success? Do you think, like, nah, this movie's going to be terrible? I feel whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it out of the way. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.